So here we are, the IntecGaming Game Boy Advance HDMI kit. I know, right? If you hadn't seen my previous video about the concerns with reviewing this product, I'll put a link down below as I don't want to waste too much time going back over all that, but it's crazy. I guess they saw my video and sent one out in a hurry, not worrying about having me agree to not mentioning negative things and whatnot. But sure, let's take a look at this thing. So, they actually didn't send me a kit. They sent an entire pre-assembled unit with the Game Boy Advance board already put inside, ready to go. And they also included the assembled Game Boy Advance controller with the Super Nintendo plug, which I do see they are selling the entire pre-assembled kit on their Kickstarter for $200 shipped within the USA. And then the kit you assemble and bring your own Game Boy Advance board is $135 shipped within the US. Now, one note I will make is that the included manual with assembly instructions, it's pretty nice and thorough. Maybe the most impressive thing here. I don't know. Now, this is not the cheapest option for consoleizing a Game Boy Advance, but it's also not the most expensive. But is it worth it for you? Let's get into it. So pretty simple here. The system has a power button and a sync button for Bluetooth controllers on the top of the case, a Super Nintendo controller port on front. On the back, you have your HDMI port that they state outputs at 720p, a USB-C for power, your cartridge slot, obviously, the link port is accessible, and an aspect ratio switch. Either 16:9, stretch the hell out, or a squished incorrect image at 4:3. The Game Boy Advance is a 3:2 display, and out of all the options I have had access to in this category of device, this is the only one to display this way. Now, I quickly want to touch on the Game Boy Advance controller they included here. This may be a partly different experience for you using your own shell, buttons, and membranes, but this thing is crap. It uses an aftermarket shell, which, isn't that big a deal, but I think the membranes they used are really bad. Plus, the board for the controller in the Game Boy Advance, the switches for the shoulder buttons, they're way too stiff. Hard to push. They just do not feel good. I used this controller for a bit and I just tossed it to the side. Not responsive. Everything felt chunky and nothing like an original Game Boy Advance controls, Now, using Bluetooth worked just fine. Had no issues syncing up a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, but I wound up defaulting to using the newer 8-bit-do 2.4 gigahertz Super Nintendo controller, and that worked great for me. Had no issues using that controller whatsoever. So visually, this thing with games, it looks soft. Maybe not as soft when I messed with the prototype, so it does seem like they have slightly improved that. The colors also seem to be about the same as well. Now, all the options I have to play Game Boy Advance, the colors are all slightly different with like brightness and contrast and whatnot. So I guess it depends on you individually if this is fine. But I say it's like a combination of the official Game Boy player and the Analog Pocket's default colors. The Pocket is sharper though, and the official Game Boy player is not as soft of an image, but that's just the way it is. That's the best I can compare the colors to. Now, the aspect ratio, though. With the prototype, it actually looks like they may have had it fairly close to what it needed to be, but this version they sent me, the 4:3 switch, just squishes it from like a full screen image to an actual 4:3 image. So things will appear thinner than what they should be. It's a squished image. I would hope they could change this if they wind up actually releasing a final version. But yeah, it'll probably bother a good amount of people with the way it is currently anyway. Now, there is one other thing I noticed that's bothering me that I don't notice in any other option I use or have for Game Boy Advance. And that is, with this setup, it almost seems, by look and feel, that a frame of video goes missing or it's skipped or something every maybe like second or two. It's hard to decipher, and I'm not sure if this is visible in my video, but it causes like a very quick stutter, like a micro stutter in the action that I noticed it on every monitor I tested this on. It just makes games with quick action and side-scrolling just not feel as smooth as what I'm used to with Game Boy Advance. Fatal flaw? Maybe. I don't know, you tell me. But I did really want to go into this being excited for the option, despite everything that has gone on. I mean, it's great to have options. But being someone who does have several, other options to play Game Boy Advance, it just wasn't tickling it for me. Maybe it will for you. I mean, I don't get to decide what works for you or what the best option for you is, but for me, nah. I'd rather emulate Game Boy Advance than use this device, quite honestly. I mean, if you have a busted-ass Game Boy Advance you want to toss into this thing, be my guest. The Kickstarter isn't really off to a great start, and I'm not sure if my video here will help too much. Not really my intentions to just trash things for the purpose of trashing them, but this option really needs a bit more work in my opinion. It's a nice idea, especially being a simple HDMI mod solution requiring no soldering. It's just a plug-and-play solution. It's fairly simple. But in this state, I don't feel the price matches the quality. Maybe they'll take this feedback and make some changes. Maybe they won't. It's kind of confusing with these things with these guys. Especially after the fiasco with the several different versions of the Warrior 64 console with the video output and the way they had multiple versions and it was slightly different, and the quality of the overall thing. That was a Kickstarter a while back. I mean, you just don't know for sure what you will get with these guys. It's just difficult to really figure out. And, if you want to back them on Kickstarter, that's, completely up to you. I don't really care, but always keep in mind, I always have to say this, regardless if it's a product I'm interested in or not. If you're going to back a Kickstarter, back at your own risk. If it's successful and they collect the money, you have to be prepared to put in money that you're willing to lose. There's been so many times with Kickstarters where people have been screwed, and I'm not saying that for sure will happen here. It's just something you have to be prepared for. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not overly impressed with this device, with everything I'm seeing here. Interesting idea. The quality of the shell, the casing and whatnot isn't too bad. It's actually fairly decent. It looks okay in my opinion, but just the overall execution. Maybe this is just not meant to be. I don't know. Maybe it'll work for some people, but I just wanted to share my honest opinions and, the video footage. That's really what, matters the most. Get to see what this thing actually looks like. If you want to take my opinions along with that, great. If not, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Really do appreciate every single one of you guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye.